All right, welcome everybody. So today we've got Alexandra Merz joining us today. So she's also known on Twitter, as many of you know, as Tesla Boomer Mama. And over the last several months, she's been absolutely killing it. So she was instrumental in helping Tesla get investment grade credit rating. She's been for months shining the light on the corruption of ESG. Recently, it was she added her voice, her very strong voice at that, for the value of Tesla implementing buybacks, and we saw the board possibly looking at it and thinking about it. So she's done it again yesterday. She's written a very well written article where she's sort of putting the breadcrumbs together and proposing that maybe might Elon and Tesla be buying Shift 4 or some sort of payments processor. So it's exciting for us to hear what breadcrumbs she's put together and why she thinks that might be the case. And then for us to talk about the difference in, the need for Twitter to be able to go beyond advertising and subscription into a payments processing system. So welcome, Alexandra. And
Hi,
so
Herbert.
excited that
Nice to
you
be here.
joined me today. Yeah.
Thanks a lot. Want to correct you. You said whether Tesla and Elon may buy Shift 4. I think if there is a possibility they buy or partner with Shift 4, it's going to be the Twitter platform that will do it, not the
Yeah.
Tesla platform.
I'm sorry. I didn't mean
But
Tesla. I meant,
no
yeah.
problem at all. I'm mixing it up all the time now as well. I mean, it's TNT, right? So yeah, let me start where it all started. We had on Tuesday a discussion on Farzad's channel on why is Elon selling, and we don't know yet whether
Yes.
he's done selling or not, and he's not commenting on it, which is not his habit. Usually, I mean, he's done this to us before, but when he's done, he usually acknowledges it on Twitter, and then we all know, and we haven't had that acknowledgement. So there is still a chance it's going to be more than those 4 billion between last Friday and last Tuesday. And so by Tuesday, we were discussing, what does he need 4 billion for? And I'm still very unsatisfied with all the people telling me, well, he needs them for operating expenses for Twitter. Now, let me be a bit nasty. It's my nasty day. I'm sorry. I already warned everybody about it, but I just don't believe a second. I just don't believe a second that Elon is selling Tesla at the lowest in the 180s to pay the salary of the woke mob at Twitter. I just don't believe it. I know there are severance packages to be paid and all, but in no way does that correspond to 4 billion. We have the Q3 numbers from Twitter. They still had 6 billion there. I know this is melting like snow in the sun, but adding another 4 billion now just to be comfortably sitting on a huge checking account doesn't make any sense. It doesn't make any sense entrepreneurial. It doesn't make any sense when you know Elon, because he's the most frugal guy I've ever met. I mean, if you read about his private life, he's certainly not splurging. And it just doesn't make sense that you would sell at a low price the shares that you cherish so much, right? I mean, he's worked damn hard for the last 15 years to earn these shares just to have them sitting on a bank account at Twitter for keeping the lights on. So I just don't buy that. I hear everybody screaming, yeah, but it's costing something. Yeah, I know it's probably costing a lot, but I think he meant that this money, or I hope he means, I can only speculate, that he means this money is meant to make Twitter better. And that actually makes sense. How many times do you have people buying real estate, and before they even move in, they do embellishments, they make it bigger, they make it, they add things to the home to make it better before they move in. So he didn't have that luxury of time, but he may do it now in the initial weeks and months and add supplementary options to it. And it may be stuff he's doing himself. Now, before we get into my hypothesis of Shift 4, and I did that very, very early yesterday morning. My biggest belief was that he would reimburse a bridge loan that people had given him on top of the 13 billion bank loans that were outstanding and have a much longer maturity, but that he had a short bridge loan to come up with the money at the last moment, because we all remember how hectic it was. So fair enough. If that's the case, maybe nobody knows about it. We tried to get it out of Ross. Ross didn't comment or knew anything about it. So that may still be my biggest probability. Then I had that was 60%. And 25% was that maybe people are backing out. And that can happen in two ways. It could be the basic investors that put money in it. But I just have the feeling 4 billion is too much for, being really a major investor who didn't think about it. I mean, Larry Elder put $1 billion in it. How much more do you need to actually have to reimburse 4 billion? But that could also be the package of those bank loans. So these banks are sitting now on 13 billion loans, longer maturities that they have to value at the end of the year at a certain price. They can't just put it in at cost. And given the disaster it was the last 2 weeks, I mean, it was a mess, no doubt about it, they would have to value it down. And Bloomberg estimated that yesterday at, I know, I'm getting there, Tesla, I'm getting there. But Bloomberg valued those 13 billion now already only at a 60% value. Okay, so from the 13 billion, we would have come down to something around 7 billion. So maybe, just maybe, which would be very smart, that was my 25% scenario, he is using that money to purchase back those bank loans, and he would actually get a higher stake in Twitter at a cheaper price, right? He would sort of soften a bit the pain he had buying Twitter at a high price. So that could be it. Very financial engineering, doesn't have much of an impact, and it would make sense in that he is winning 40 or 50 or 60%, which is obviously good, rather than keeping the money just in Tesla. And we also have to know he's getting a new compensation package. It's not as if he's running out of Tesla shares. There will be new shares added. So those were my two basic scenarios. 60%, he has to reimburse a bridge loan that we never heard about, but fair enough. Or he gets some cheap discounted bank loans back, leaving the bank with a huge loss, but they're happy to get it off their books. And then there was this 15% scenario, which was maybe they're acquiring something. And so that's where I started searching around, and it just became blatantly clear because he spoke Wednesday on that advertiser call about these payment options, and it just keeps dropping from all the sides. More you look for it, more you look at it. And so I was thinking, well, could it be Jack's company, Square? Could it be Shift4? And I just think Shift4 is much more affordable. And yes, you're right. They're currently mainly serving restaurants and hotels, meaning when you check out, we get there. Okay.
Yeah, let me pause for a second. This is what everybody wants to hear, so we're going to get to there right away. But I actually, like you, were thinking the exact same thing, but you beat me to it, right? And the reason I was heading this direction was because when he bought Twitter, first thing he needed to do was right-size the ship. It was losing $4 million per day. He needed to address the infrastructure, right? He cut the staff by 50%. But he obviously knew the kind of the revenue model, right? Mm-hmm. What is it? 89% of 2021 advertising was $4.5 billion that they receive as revenue from advertising. And that's just not going to be enough. And then he needed to put in a subscription model. But if you do all these additions of how much a subscription model could be, at $7.99, you need 15 million subscribers, or Omar sent a tweet today, 17 million subscribers to get you that 1 billion per year. And even that's still not enough. And so there, you heard him, like you said, start talking about Twitter needs to become a payments platform. That's going to be not only a supplemental revenue stream, but it needs to become the main revenue stream beyond advertising and subscription. So for that reason, I can see why he needed to be kind of aggressively moving fast, even, and as you might have unearthed even earlier, trying to think about how to turn it to a payments platform. Yeah,
exactly. So let me recite a little bit where I was and how I got there. So one of the tweets I really liked was when he answered to Stephen Mark Ryan this week, maybe Monday or Tuesday. And Stephen Mark Ryan said, putting this and this and this in place, and then being independent from advertisers. And Elon responded, exactly. Okay. So the goal is not to continue feeding these advertisers. I mean, of course, Twitter is not going to throw them out of the door if they come. I think the goal is, and it's going to be painful for a couple of weeks, getting this platform much bigger to show the advertisers we don't depend on you, but we have the most interactive, vetted user base. Our user base is not bots. Our user base are the most, intelligent, quick people that you actually want to advertise to, and you will come back, right? Now, whether the world functions like Elon wants, I don't know, but obviously they are getting now some of the big people in advertisement back into Twitter as advisors. So I think the whole advertisement current bellyache is going to go away. I mean, Elon is learning. It's not his world, but he's going to learn this part. And he knew this very early. And why do I know that he knew this very early? It's not because he told me, he's not talking to me. It's because he started buying Twitter shares in January. He made the offer in April. Okay, so we have this lapse of time between January, where he was convinced he would now go there and purchased over the weeks up to nearly 10% of Twitter before he made his offer. But on the 1st of February, somebody, and we'll never know who, somebody incorporated in Delaware the Twitter Payments LLC. So I found that because we will go probably later on into the details, but just think of it. Somebody who had no idea, I mean, can only be Elon, let's face it, somebody who exactly incorporated, as you see on the top right corner, on the 1st of February 2022, the Twitter Payments LLC. Now, why does this matter? Because last week, the Twitter Payments LLC went to the authorities in America and said, we want to become payment, well, I think it's called merchant. If you can pull it up, it's a merchant transfer agent or whatever. So they're asking to become payment. Well, there it is. Let me check. The name is Money Transmitter, MSB Activities. So money transmitter means you get it from the client and you transmit it to something. And I just want to tell everybody that, because there are probably loads of people much better versed in payment processing than me. I'm not. I just dig into this stuff to put the breadcrumbs together. But if I understood it right, and please correct me, is the money transmitter is the one pulling the money and then giving it to the payment processor. And the payment processor then has this merchant function to pay the merchant 97, 98, 99%, leave some cut to the money transmitter and gets the rest of it. So this was all done in November. Exactly, you just pulled it. This was done last week. So this Twitter Payments LLC, which was set up in February by a genius who knew that he will need this, right? I mean, who could that be other than Elon and Elon's crew?
Can he do that? Can you use the word Twitter when he hadn't bought it yet?
Well, he did it. I mean, in Delaware, you can do so much. Delaware is really a strange state for that. I use Delaware sometimes for my clients, because if somebody wants to stay the anonymous member of an LLC, Delaware is the perfect place. Okay, everybody always talks about Delaware for tax purposes and all that, but you have 7 states in the US who have comparable tax situations. Why do people go particularly to Delaware, and particularly for LLCs? It's because with Wyoming, it's one of the 2 states where you can stay anonymous, and Delaware is more waterproof than Wyoming. And so what does that mean? In order for us to know who are the members behind this Twitter Payments LLC, we would need to get a court order with a good reason. And obviously nobody has a good reason. So that's it. So nobody, unless they want to get it public, will know who is behind this Twitter Payments LLC.
Okay. Interesting. February 1st.
So that was that. So it just, I mean, I have more questions than answers, and I'm sorry, but that's why I wrote my whole thing. So Elon started in January to accumulate Twitter shares. On the 1st of February, somebody, I think Elon, but who knows, opened this Twitter Payments LLC. In April, he makes the offer, obviously initially with the hope that it goes quickly, then comes the whole drama, and he finally buys end of October. And then Twitter pulls out this Twitter Payment LLC and files this request to become money transferer in the whole picture of a payment processing platform.
Okay.
So, I mean, I hear all these people saying, well, that doesn't mean he buys Shift 4. No, it doesn't. It doesn't mean he buys Shift 4. I think this is already spectacular enough. But I just pushed the envelope a little bit further, because now he's in a hurry, right? He's in a hurry to get our $8. He's in a hurry to save a couple of advertisers, but he's in a hurry to restructure. So does he have the time to put his PayPal friends and engineers in place and do it himself?
Good point.
Or
Okay.
does he only do the money transfer bit? And again, technically, I don't know how this works, but does he only do the first part, for which obviously he may get a quicker license to do, and then plug something else in? And so what would he plug in? And that's when I went to my own Starlink subscription. I have a Starlink subscription, and it is done with Shift4, right? So, I mean, maybe that's not an indicator, but I just think if they use for Starlink now Shift4, how about they do this here? And how about, rather than using them, taking a stake, probably not everything, but taking a stake, building up a stake in Shift4 with the aim sooner or later to take them over, but so that they're a partner and Twitter gets part of the second half of, I don't know whether it's a half or whatever, but the second part of these payment processing fees, because payment processing is just huge, right? The 1, 2, 3% that the payment processing company, traditionally Visa and MasterCard, get is a huge part of the whole financial system, and the easiest part to penetrate, and the part he knows best because he's done it at PayPal. He's done it 20 years ago.
And then we should say that he is good friends with Jared Isaacman, who's the CEO and founder of Shift4, because Jared paid for the very first civilian flight, Inspiration 4, which is, Jared and 3 others flew in SpaceX to be the first to go orbital. And then he actually is doing it yet again, right? Another planned flight again. So he paid Elon for SpaceX to be an astronaut. And so these two are very close. Like you said, SpaceX then announced that they're using Shift4 for the Starlink purchases.
Yeah.
And then the other thing that's interesting is the market cap for Shift4 is
currently 3.8 billion, right? Just short of 4. So, I mean, again, I don't know whether it's 100% they want to take in that. I don't know whether they just want to partner with it. But I just feel this seems like a match made in heaven. And, once I've pushed the envelope and did my purchases, I just thought, just let's write it down and share it with everybody yesterday evening. I mean, it went all the way through. Like I said, I'm not certain, and I said that in the top of my article, I'm not certain that they will acquire Shift4, but I do believe there's something in the making because it just seems to meet the immediate need. And yes, that was the other thing. You're right. I nearly forgot about this one.
Let's read this through. Go ahead. Let me go ahead and read this through. So you had this in your article. Basically, Shift4 announced today. When was this?
This was yesterday. I mean, can you believe
You're kidding.
This was yesterday.
So yesterday, Shift4 said this, announced today a new online payments platform with enhanced e-commerce capabilities. And you say the press release reads, easily create a customizable checkout form that can be embedded on any page of a website using just a few lines of code. This form features an intuitive, mobile-friendly UI that supports 24 languages, 160 currencies, and all major card types. It supports a wide range of payment scenarios, including one-time payments, recurring payments, subscriptions, hybrid billing models, and various billing for pay-per-use or pay-per-use business models, and anti-fraud and so forth. And so they announced this yesterday?
Yes. This is their press release from yesterday morning.
Okay.
And I know, and so I'd never researched Shift4. I knew nothing about them until yesterday morning. I went in there, I bought then a couple of shares. I didn't buy a lot. I bought 250 shares. So, I mean, this is not going to make me neither rich nor poor.
Don't tell anybody that. No. It's not investment advice.
No. I mean, I want to be very transparent that this is a very small position for me. This is not something I'm making huge money on or whatever. But it just felt for me that there are too many programs. Now, I hear that Isaacson said, there's no way we're doing this. I hear everybody telling me this is not where this is going. They need the $4 billion for the cash flow at Twitter. I still don't buy that they need the $4 billion for the cash flow at Twitter.
All right.
Now, let me get back. Just go ahead.
Oh, go ahead. Yeah, go ahead. You go ahead.
No. I just want to say, why am I so stuck on that? Because actually, I don't want to talk about Twitter. I want to talk about Tesla. But I want to understand, is Tesla going to be for month and month really the ATM machine for Elon because he needs to fund Twitter a lot, which would bother me, right? I mean, he can do with his shares what he can, but then I want to understand it early. Or is this a one-off, 1 week sale because there's some project behind it, right? I obviously prefer the second version. That was my starting point, and that's still a question. I still don't know it, but I have much wishful thinking that it's the second, that this is a very particular project and not just operating expenses to keep the lights on in Twitter, which I still don't want to believe.
He needs to turn it around very, very quickly. And you can hear it in his communication to the all staff meeting about it's not a given that Twitter will succeed. We could lose billions over the next several years. This company could go bankrupt. I mean, that's pretty strong statements at the very beginning. So I do think we should go through the reaction that some of the key Twitter Tesla community has to just, when you throw out the idea, is it possible that Twitter is going to buy Shift 4? So Dave Lee sent out a tweet this morning, said Elon has no reason to buy Shift 4. Payments can easily be done in-house at Twitter. Also, acquiring another company is just a huge headache, and he doesn't want all the legacy customers that 4 has. Emmett Pepper says 100%. Agree with Dave. And then Omar's catalog, says, nope, they're not going to buy Shift 4. That's ridiculous. Shift 4 does retail point of sale. Elon is invested in Stripe. So right now, Elon does not want to buy anything. He has had more than his share of acquisitions for this year. And he goes, funny to hear everyone's theories. It's just about Twitter. And then Matthias Fons, who I interviewed last week, he says, Alexandra speculates that Twitter may buy Shift 4 in a well-written Substack. Here's a few reasons why I think 4 being acquired by Twitter is unlikely. 1, shareholders won't take less than $10 billion in a cash buyout. Shift 4's key verticals are not low-hanging fruit for Twitter. Twitter will likely take care of payments on the front end of things, while the back end is handled by payment processors like Stripe, Shift 4, and others. Vertical integration would be expensive and won't add features that a 4 partnership couldn't. So he's saying partnership is more likely. They won't need to buy it. The one thing I would say is that we know that Elon created X.com. It was then merged with Confinity to create PayPal. He was kicked out of PayPal by the board because they had different visions. PayPal wanted to become a person-to-person payment platform, but Elon had larger visions. His goal was to become a financial institution, which he reiterated at the Twitter space that he held 2 days ago with the advertisers, when he walked through that this is not just person-to-person payment. It's going to be, debit cards, credit card. It's going to be like a bank pretty well.
Even money market funds. Remember money market funds? Yeah. And I mean, I've been a fund manager at the beginning of my career for a long time. I was managing the biggest European funds at that moment in the 90s. And I can tell you, setting up the structure to do mutual funds or ETFs or whatever he wants to structure it, ask Gary Black, ask Ross. This is not an easy undertaking. You just don't do that because you want to. You really believe in it. So if there's going to be a Twitter money market ETF or whatever it's going to be, this takes a structure. And I mean, I hear all these people and they may be right. Maybe it's just going to be a partnership. Maybe it's something. But my point is, again, it may be Shift 4. It may be something else, but I still am very much attached to the idea that I hope this is an investment into something rather than operating capital, because it's too much. Now, let me get back why I think it's too much. Saturday or last Friday, probably it was, Elon said somewhere, maybe on Ron Barron's interview, that we're at a run rate of 4 million loss per day. Tuesday, the evening of the elections, David Sachs was on Megyn Kelly's show, reiterated it's 4 billion loss per day. $4 million loss per day. Okay. Now we're Friday. Yesterday was Thursday. So between Tuesday, where the top 2 guys who know about it both said it's 4 million a day, and Thursday, we suddenly hear it's going bankrupt. It's horrible. We have to fire more people and whatever. I just think what happened on Thursday is a story that gets overspinned, maybe by Elon and his crew, because they need to fire more people, they need to clean house. And all those of you that know Tesla for 10 years now, he's had these moments. This is team building. This is, we have to do this together. We have to put more effort in. We have to come back to the office. We have to sleep on the floor. I don't think it's as dramatic as everybody suddenly thinks. Why from Tuesday at 4 million, we're suddenly at bankruptcy? Why from, and the only thing that happened between the two that we saw was that Wednesday call to the advertiser, which wasn't that dramatic, right? So if it was really 4 million loss per day, 4 billion that he liquidated so far gives you 1,000 days, 1,000 days of operating expenses, right? 4 million, 4 billion. 1,000 days is more than 3 years, right? Or a little bit less than 3 years. Do you really think Elon would sell at $180 to share enough money for the next 3 years on the checking account to keep the lights on? Never in my life.
No.
And I mean, yes, I hear you have to invest some more, development, whatever. But is it really wise to think he'll develop all this in-house himself? Or does he want to be quick and dirty and get it done?
So a couple questions from the group here. One is that
Sure.
why Christoph Letis asks, Alexandra, why no Form 4 filings today and no comment from Elon that he's done selling? So if you're right that he did the selling from Friday to Tuesday, $4 billion worth, why has it not come out and says, okay, I'm done at this point?
I don't think he was
selling
done.
more.
I don't think he's done. I think we've seen some more yesterday and the day before, and even maybe a little bit today at the opening.
Yeah.
And I think we will see some tonight, just before 7 o'clock Eastern.
And why is he needing to raise more than 4 billion?
Well, that's the whole question. I mean,
Okay.
I wish I would have all these answers.
Yeah. Here's another very interesting comment that I think a few of us are saying too, which is Next Big Future asks, Jared Isaacman, am I saying his name right? Isaacman, yeah. Would be a great
Isaacman.
COO or CEO for Twitter. More important than the accelerant for SIP4. I like this idea a lot, right? Because at the end of the day, people are missing it, or not everyone, but Twitter is a financial platform. It's not a social media platform. It's right. It's not an advertising platform, right? It is a financial platform. So why wouldn't you get someone like a Jared Isaacman to be the CEO? Yeah. Makes sense.
Yeah, I mean, like I said earlier, I don't know him as well. I didn't know much about him yesterday morning. I know a little bit more about him now. He seems like a very out-of-the-box thinker person, and obviously very early successful. I think he was 16 when he started this whole Shift4 idea, and he's brought it to be sufficiently billionaire to now fly into the space and finance all these things. He's also been a very generous person with St. Jude's hospitals and all that. So I think he comes over as a very genuine person and seems to get along a lot with Elon. So yes, that would be fine. But do you really think him with all the other, because he has a couple of other projects, including going back to space, would want to take on Twitter now? I think this is a heck of a job taking over here from Elon to manage Twitter.
Yeah. And then I found out that Shift4 is they handle payments for 1/3 of America's restaurants and hotels. Yeah. And so they're beyond just a payments processing firm. What do you think about that? So that's one of the arguments that the others say is, well, why would you buy Shift4? This is not just their only business, right? They're going to be doing managing payments for restaurants and hotels. My answer is like, yeah. So again,
exactly. Mine as well. I mean, that means exactly. So that just means when you're in a hotel and you sign on that little pad when you're in the restaurant, in the bakery, that's them. Why wouldn't you like to take that? I mean, this business is tough to build up, but once it's running, it's a cash machine. So
Elon's vision for X.com was to become not just a financial institution, not just to be a bank, but he was actually saying that this could actually take over the entire financial transactions, like the whole thing. Like he was going, why is it that when you transfer money from one bank to another bank, there's like 3-5 days of waiting? It's because they're using archaic technology. He wanted to build that thing that basically does the instant transactions. And there is still one thing that I really want to make sure people understand. This is the biggest margin maker
maker for banks and financial institutions, right?
What's that?
Banks like Wells Fargo or Bank of America and all that, they had to take much more risk once the PayPals and Stripes of this world were eating into their market, because this was the moneymaker for them. At that period, it was still 3%. So that's where the money is. And that's also where the margin is. If he is a little bit more aggressive on those margin, he kills everything else. He will bring the price of money transactions down with the power of the millions and hundreds of millions of users of Twitter.
So there's 240 million users of Twitter today. He said that he needs it to be up to 1 billion. The goal is to get to 1 billion users. And if whatever percentage we can all guess, 10% of users pay for the subscription model. And then he was saying that then you can actually, what was his thinking, right? Each person could be given like $10 worth that you can then assign to others. And then you can monetize creators. And then the money that they give you, because part of the money that you pay, $8 a month, will be given back to you to be able to spread around. But then at some point you can put out your own cash into the Twitter bank account and then have a debit card. And then as you get creator monetization, maybe you'll keep it there and then you'll get money market funds. Then he can, if he makes that so attractive, and then you can do transactions everywhere. I mean, the vision of X.com is to be WeChat, which is using it to purchase everything, anywhere, online and physical, right?
And I mean, I don't know you, Herbert, but how much of your social media time do you spend on Twitter compared to other platforms?
It's embarrassing at this point. Yeah, it's ridiculous. My wife just looked at me today and said, "Is that all you do?" And I'm going,
Exactly. And I mean, come on, we're not the age anymore we should do this, right? We're probably not old enough, both of us, to just be on Facebook, but we should not spend our time.
There's a group of us that are addicted to Twitter because we find it to have the best information. I mean, I get incredible information from all the incredible people. In this case, I'm interested in Tesla financials. I'm getting it from you and all these other creators. It's wonderful. But then I asked, why is my wife not on it yet? Why is my two daughters not on it yet? So my two daughters are on TikTok. My wife is on Instagram. So at some point, this needs to change. And if it becomes a financial platform, I said to my wife, what if this becomes a financial platform? She goes, yeah, but I don't use PayPal. It's not like I'm using PayPal everywhere I go either. And she's got a point. So I need to figure out what is the use case scenario that will then, because he needs to get my wife and my daughters and my wife to be on the platform to get to the 1 billion users. Yeah.
He already said it. It's going to be the best search engine. He's going to be the competitor to Google. The results that will come up in Twitter will be of better quality than what's curated on Google.
Yeah. So, I found out this recently, that people are using TikTok for search more than they do. The young people use TikTok to do search than they do go into a website to do Google now. And I was like, what? And it's true because, like if they want to buy some product, they'll go to TikTok first because they'll see videos, not just, blue links. And then, but then you're right. If it's something that is so powerful, they can make the search to me so powerful that when I ask for a search, I'm going to get the best top of mind experts in the world. And I get their answers to my question. And then did you notice that just recently at the Twitter space, he likened the subscriber model to this blue checkmark verified to be very similar to how the Google search engine works, with showing you the top page, who are the best, and then nobody goes to the second page. In the same way here, right? If I do a search for anything, let's say I do a search for, Apple iPhone, then I'm going to see whatever the videos of all MLKBDA and all this top.
And if you paid your $8 per month, you'll be there on the first page. And if you didn't pay your $8, you will not. And you will see people will get. I mean, I believe the Tesla community will pay anyway, but even other people, they will get addicted to wanting to be in the first results, on whether it's in communication, whether it's in search results, or whatever.
Okay. Anything else for you to add? So did you, I didn't actually hear you counter what Dave Lee, Omar, and others have said.
Well, I mean, what they're saying is he doesn't need to buy 4, he can do it himself. Yes. If he can do it himself, fine. But I mean, I'm still searching for what is he doing with those 4 billion, right? This was my best guess yesterday. Again, this was my 15% scenario. 60% was paying back a bridge loan. 25% was buying back those bank loans at a heavy discount because it was just worth it. But if an acquisition, my current idea it is that shift 4. Maybe there's other stuff out there. What do I know? I mean, he seems to be, but what I found, like I said, very interesting. He is working on that since February. This is not just something that came up this week, because suddenly between Tuesday, where the running cost was 4 million, between yesterday, where everything was going bankrupt, exactly. I just don't believe that.
I put a little credence to that comment, because I mean, I think the statement of we might go bankrupt is more just bombastic statement. I'm talking to my employees. I'm going to make you come to work instead of remote. Listen, the company could go on. I wouldn't say that that's really the scenario. But
that's exactly mine. That's exactly my thinking. I think that 4 million number was much more calmer and out. So the 4 billion are not necessary to keep the lights on. So what are they for? My whole question. I tried an answer. I may not have the answer, but I'm trying on an answer, and maybe I have another one next week.
Okay. Well, thank you for your time. I thought that this is good. This is an ongoing story, so we'll get you to, we'll see what happens next week to see if any of this ideas is fun. But I love how you find these breadcrumbs, because you did the same thing with a few other ideas, like the investment grade credit rating and then the potential buyback. It's just wonderful. You piece things together and then you throw it out there, and you're right. It'd be fun. It's just fun. So we'll see.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Well, thank you for sharing everything. Okay, guys, thanks everybody. Follow Alexandra. She is at Tesla Boomer Mama, and she's got a Substack that you should subscribe to as well. And that's where she writes. She does these long form write-ups, and that eventually you're going to be able to do this on Twitter, and you're going to get paid.
So. I know. I'll be so rich.
You are. See you guys later. Bye, everyone.
Bye-bye.